How's it going, everybody? I'm going to be doing a request here today, reading some scary stories. I grabbed Scary Stories 3. I have the first one as well, but I'll read from this one. I'll read maybe 2 or 3 out of here. I wanted to put this up on Halloween, but I got kids were coming by till about 6:30, and then I just, was hanging out and didn't feel like it. And yesterday I had a headache, and today I had a headache as well, but it went away. So I figured I'd do this request a few days after Halloween, but still, nonetheless, definitely read some out of these classic books here. Yeah, let's get us started, shall we? Try to find. Some of these are short, so let's see about this one here. This one's called Footsteps. So, Elizabeth is doing her homework at the dining room table. Her younger sister Sarah was asleep upstairs. Their mother was out. And the cat's going to be annoying now because it's always something. Their mother was out, but she was expected back any minute. When the front door opened and shut, Liz called, "Hello, Mama." But her mother didn't answer, and the footsteps Liz heard were heavier, like a man's. "Who's there?" she called. No one replied. She heard whoever it was talking. Whoever it was walked through the living room. Then up the stairs. This cat is annoying. Then up the stairs to the second floor. The footsteps moved from one bedroom to another. Again Liz called, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped. Then she thought, "Oh my God, Sarah is in her bedroom." She ran upstairs to Sarah's room. Only Sarah was there, and she was asleep. Liz looked in the other rooms but found no one. She went back down to the dining room, scared out of her wits. Soon she heard footsteps again. They were coming down the stairs into the living room. Now they went into the kitchen. Then the door between the kitchen and the dining room slowly began to open. "Get out!" Liz screamed. The door slowly closed. The footsteps moved out of the kitchen through the living room toward the front door. The door opened and shut. Liz ran to the window to see who it was. No one was in sight, nor were there any footprints in the fresh snow that had been falling. See, some of those are short. Here's another quick one. Like Cat's Eyes. As Jim Brand lay dying, his wife left him with his nurse and went into the next room to rest. She sat in the dark, staring into the night. Suddenly, Miss Brand saw headlights come rapidly up the driveway. "Oh no," she thought. "I don't want visitors now, not now." But it wasn't a car bringing a visitor. It was an old hearse with maybe a half-dozen small men hanging from the sides. At least that's what it looked like. The hearse screeched to a stop. The men jumped off and stared up at her, their eyes glowing with a soft yellow light like cat's eyes. She watched with horror as they disappeared into the house. An instant later they were back, lifting something into the hearse. Then they drove off at high speed, wheels swirling the gravel in the driveway, flying in all directions. At that moment, the nurse came in to say that Jim Brand had died. Pretty creepy picture there. You had cool, creepy artwork in these, especially if you were a kid. I know I've mentioned that before. This one is called Bess. I feel like I might have read this one before. I don't know. John Nicholas raised horses. He had many horses of all kinds, but his favorite was Bess, a gentle old mare he had grown up with. He no longer rode her, for all she could do now was just amble along. Bess spent her days grazing peacefully in a meadow. That summer, for the fun of it, John Nicholas went into a fortune-teller's booth. The fortune-teller studied her cards. "I see danger ahead of you," she said. "Your favorite horse will cause you to die. I don't know when, but it will happen. It is in the cards." John Nicholas laughed. The idea that Bess would cause his death was nonsense. She was as dangerous as a bowl of soup. Yet from then on, whenever he saw her, he remembered the fortune-teller's warning. That fall, a farmer from the other end of the county asked if he could have Bess. He had been thinking that the old horse would be perfect for his children to ride. "That's a good idea," John said. "It would be fun for her then. It would be fun for them, and it would give Bess something to do." Later, John told his wife about it. "Now, Bess won't kill me," he said, and they both laughed. A few months later, he saw the farmer who'd taken her. "How's my Bess?" he asked. "Oh, she was fine for a while," the farmer said. "The children loved her. Then she got sick. I had to shoot her to put her out of her misery. It was a shame." Despite himself, John breathed a sigh of relief. He had often wondered if in some crazy way, through some strange accident, Bess would kill him. Now, of course, she could not. "I'd like to see her," said John, "just to say goodbye. She was my favorite." The bones of the dead horse were in a far corner of the man's farm. John kneeled down and patted Bess's sun-bleached skull. Just then, a rattlesnake, which had made its home inside the skull, sank its fangs into John Nicholas's arm and killed him. I think it would take a little longer for a rattlesnake to kill you, but there's another creepy picture. One second here, I have to respond to something. Harold, I can't remember. Let's do the dead. What's this? We'll do this one. Such things happened. Such things happen. When Bill Nelson's cow stopped giving milk, he called the veterinarian. "There's nothing wrong with that cow," the vet said. "She's just stubborn." That or some witch got hold of her. Bill and the vet both laughed. "That old hag, Addie Fitch. I guess she's the closest we've got to a witch around here," the vet said. "But witches have gone out of style, haven't they?" Bill had had a run-in with Addie Fitch a month before. He had hit her cat with his car and killed it. "I'm really sorry, Addie Fitch," he told her. "I'll get you a new cat, just as pretty, just as good." Her eyes filled with hate. "You raised that cat from a kitten," she hissed. "I raised that cat from a kitten," she hissed. "I loved her. You'll be sorry for this, Bill Nelson." Bill sent her a new cat and heard nothing more. Then his cow stopped giving milk. Next, his old truck broke down. After that, his wife fell and broke her arm. "We're having a lot of bad luck," he thought. Then he thought, maybe it is Addie Fitch getting even. And then, hey, you don't believe in witches. You're just upset. But Bill's grandpa believed in witches. He had once told Bill that there was only one sure way to stop a witch from causing trouble. "You find a black walnut tree," he said, "and you draw a picture on it. Then you mark an X where her heart is, and you drive a nail into the X. Every day you drive it in a little deeper. If she's causing the trouble," he said, "she'll feel the pain. When she can't stand it anymore, she'll come to you or send somebody and try to borrow something. If you give her what she wants, that breaks the power of the nail, and she'll go on tormenting you. But if you don't, she'll have to stop, or the pain will kill her." That's what his nice, gentle old grandpa believed. It's pure craziness, Bill thought. Of course his grandpa didn't have much schooling. Bill had been to college. He knew better. Then Bill's dog Joe, a perfectly healthy dog, dropped dead just like that. It made Bill angry. Despite all his schooling, he thought, maybe it is Addie Fitch after all. He got a red crayon from his son's room and a hammer and a nail and went into the woods. He found a black walnut tree and drew a picture of Addie Fitch on it. He made an X where her heart was, like his grandpa had said to do. With the hammer, he drove the nail a little way into the X. Then he went home. "I feel like a fool," he told his wife. "You should," she said. The next day, a boy named Timmy Logan came by. "Addie Fitch isn't feeling well," he said. "She wonders if she could borrow some sugar from you." Bill Nelson stared at Timmy in amazement. He took a deep breath. "Tell her I'm sorry, but I don't have any sugar right now," he said. When Timmy Logan left, Bill went back to the walnut tree and drove the nail in another inch. The next day, the boy came back. "Addie Fitch is pretty sick," he said. "She's wondering if you've got any sugar left." "Tell her I'm sorry," Bill Nelson said, "but I still don't have any." Bill went out into the woods and drove the nail in another inch. The following day, the boy was back. "Addie Fitch is getting sicker," he said. "She really needs some sugar." "Tell her I still don't have any," Bill answered. Bill's wife was angry. "You've got to stop this," she said. "If this mumbo-jumbo works, it's like murder." "I'll stop when she does," he said. Toward dusk, he stood in the yard staring at the ridge where the old lady lived, wondering what was going on up there. Then in the half-darkness, he saw Addie Fitch coming slowly down the hill towards him. With her pinched, bony face and her old black coat, she did look like a witch. As she got closer, Bill saw that she could barely walk. "Maybe I'm really hurting her," he thought. He ran to get his hammer to pull a nail out, but before he could leave, Addie Fitch was in the yard, her face twisted with rage. First you killed my cat, she said. Then you wouldn't give me a bit of sugar when I needed it. She swore at him and fell dead at his feet. I'm not surprised that she dropped dead that way. The doctor said she's very old, maybe 90. It was her heart, of course. Some people thought she was a witch, Bill said. I've heard that, the doctor said. Somebody I know thought Addie Fitch had witched him, Bill went on. He drew a picture of her on a tree, then drove a nail in to make her stop. That's an old superstition, the doctor said, but people like us don't believe in that sort of thing, do we? Let's see what we got. I really need to have water with me or something when I do this. It's an interesting picture as well. This one's called The Dream. Lucy Morgan was an artist. She had spent a week painting in a small country town and decided that the next day she would move on. She would go to a village called Kingston. I believe I've read this one. But that night, Lucy Morgan had a strange dream. She dreamed that she was walking up a dark, carved staircase that ended her bedroom. It was an ordinary room except for two things. The carpet was made up of large squares that looked like trapdoors, and at each of the windows was fastened shut with big nails that stuck out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in that bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face and black eyes and long black hair came into the room. She leaned over the bed and whispered, "This is an evil place. Flee while you can." When the woman touched her arm to hurry along, Lucy Morgan awakened from her dream with a shriek. She lay awake the rest of the night trembling. In the morning, she told her landlady that she had decided not to go to Kingston after all. "I can't tell you why," she said, "but I just can't bring myself to go there." "Then why don't you go to Dorset?" the landlady said. "It's a pretty town and it isn't too far." So Lucy Morgan went to Dorset. Someone told her she could find a room in a house at the top of the hill. It was a pleasant-looking house, and the landlady there, a plump, motherly woman, was as nice as could be. "Let's look at that room," she said. "I think you will like it." I kind of like the way that I'm reading it, that the picture of the thing in the dream is right there. They walked up a dark carved staircase like the one in Lucy's dream. In these old houses, the staircases are all the same, Lucy thought, but when the landlady opened the door to the bedroom, it was like in the room in her dream, with the same carpet that looked like trapdoors and the same windows fastened with big nails. "This is just a coincidence," Lucy told herself. "How do you like it?" the landlady asked. "I'm not sure," she said. "Well, take your time," the landlady said. "I'll bring up some tea while you think about it." Lucy sat on the bed staring at the trapdoors and the big nails. Soon there was a knock on the door. "It's the landlady with the tea," she thought, but it wasn't the landlady. It was the woman with the pale face and the black eyes and the long black hair. Lucy Morgan grabbed her things and fled. Yeah, I do remember reading this other one, too. I did read that one a while back. God, that could have been 2 years ago almost at this point. All right. Maybe I will. And I'll read this one real quickly. This is one everybody's heard, I think, or something similar to it. There's a little idea what it might be about. But it's called The Red Spot. While Ruth slept, a spider crawled across her face. It was stopped for several minutes on her left cheek, then went on its way. "What is that red spot on my cheek?" she asked her mother the next morning. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother said. "It will go away. Just don't scratch it." Soon, the small red spot grew into a small red boil. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It's getting bigger. It's sore." "That sometimes happens," her mother said. "It's coming to a head. In a few days, the boil was even larger." "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It hurts, and it's ugly." "We'll have the doctor look at it," her mother said. "Maybe it's infected." But the doctor could not see Ruth until the next day. That night, Ruth took a hot bath, and as she soaked herself, the boil burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs that her mother had laid in her cheek. That's a classic. They've done that in movies, too, as well and stuff. But yeah, like I said in the past, these are cool books. I have the first and the third. I do not have the second. I've had the second in the past, but I've sold it. These books would sell as a creepy one. I think I've showed that before. These books, actually, the three of them together will sell decently. They don't sell like they used to, but these were big when I was a kid. I remember getting them, and it was like some of these. I mean, a lot of these stories end with people dead and stuff, and something dying, but and the pictures are very creepy. Apparently they make these now, but they don't have the pictures of them anymore. I guess the kids today can't handle it. But yeah, there's a request to do there. I might try to get another video up tomorrow, I don't know. The next video I'll probably do will be the request for the reading lyrics. So I'll get to that one next. Maybe tomorrow, probably Sunday, I'm not sure. Got some G sales tape tomorrow as well. But if I get some stuff, do another Gumtree and Garage Sales pickup. But yeah, thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.